A few days ago, we read this Easter story. And if you have read this story, or you have found where I read it on YouTube, you'll see that this Easter story actually begins with telling a little bit about the Christmas story. See here, there are the camels and the star that shone the night Jesus was born. It talks about Christmas Day. It says a great star shone in the sky above the stable. And it talks about the shepherds and the wise men going to see the baby Jesus. And then it goes on to tell the story of Jesus' life and of his resurrection, like the Easter story does. Well, there's a Christmas book right here that ends where the Easter story begins. So I'm going to read it to you. It's called Little One, written by Pamela C. Reed, illustrated by Tom Tolman. Little One. And Great Grandma and Grandpa Ellertson gave this to my kids, my family, in 2010. So Kristen was a senior in high school. From Norman Carroll. That's Great Grandma. Little One. All right, this is about a little donkey. Donkeys are found in the stories of Jesus. All right, here we go. There's Little One. There's the picture right there. In a stable stall in a quiet town, a young donkey stamped his hoof crossly. "Mama, horse called me tiny again." He plunked down in a pile of straw, sending the golden wisps fluttering. "Just because he's taller, he thinks he's better than me." "And what do you think?" Mama answered. "Do you think he's better than you?" The young donkey said, "No. I may be little, but I can do all the things that horse can do." He quickly got to his feet, then raced around the stall, stomping his feet and baring his teeth and rolling his eyes till the whites showed. "See, Mama, I can be tough and scary like horse." "You were never meant to be like horse, Little One. You were meant to be just the way you are." "But I don't know what I could be good for," he murmured. "Even you call me Little One." Mother Donkey whispered near his ear, "Did you know that horse has to act big and tough because that's his job? One day, horse might have to carry a king into battle, and he will need to paw the air and roll his eyes to frighten the enemy." She whickered softly, "But if the king wants to go in peace, he will ride on a donkey, a smaller, kindly donkey." "Like me?" Little One gazed up at his mother. "Just like you," she nodded. "And just like your grandpa. He had a very important job that he was especially chosen to do." "What did Grandpa do?" the little donkey asked. "Your grandpa lived in a town called Nazareth. One day, when he was not much older than you, he was taken to the market and sold to a very nice man named Joseph." "He didn't mind that Grandpa was small?" Little One asked, looking down at his own tiny hoofs. "He didn't mind at all," Mother Donkey shook her head. "Joseph was a carpenter, and he needed a donkey that could carry heavy loads of wood without complaining." Then one day Joseph told Grandpa that they would soon be making a long journey. Joseph needed his little donkey to carry his wife, Mary, the whole way, because she was going to have a baby very soon. "How far did they walk?" Little One asked quietly. "A very long way, for several days." "Where were they going?" Little One asked. "To a town called Bethlehem," Mother Donkey replied. But when they got there, Joseph found that there was no room left anywhere for them to stay. Your grandpa was getting very tired, and his head began to droop when he heard Mary whisper in his ear, Keep your head up high, little donkey, for today you carry the master. Did they find somewhere to sleep? They did, Mother Donkey nodded. They finally found a room in a stable, in a manger, where the animals were fed. Not long after they arrived, Mary had her baby, a little boy. And do you know what? Little one shook his head. Your grandpa was one of the first to see the baby. Shepherds came down from the hillside to see the child, and soon many people and animals had gathered near the manger. But for a moment, only your grandpa stood watch over the little family. Little one nodded happily. Did Grandpa stay with Joseph and Mary? Nearly all his life. I want to be like Grandpa. Little one rested his head against his mother's soft side. Mother Donkey smiled. Yes, little one, I'm sure you'll be just like your grandpa one day. And so little one worked very hard to be the best donkey he could be. He practiced walking with his back straight and his head held high. He learned to keep from rolling his eyes or kicking his feet if he got upset. And at night, before bed, he would ask his mother to tell him more stories about his grandpa, especially the story about Mary and Joseph and the baby Jesus. The months passed, and little one grew much taller and stronger. One day, he noticed the stable master leading Horse out of his stall. They were met by a stranger dressed in fine robes. The man nodded as Horse shook his head proudly and reared and kicked his feet. Then he led Horse out of the yard. "Where is Horse going?" Little one watched till Horse was out of sight. "Who was that man?" "That man is in charge of the king's stable. Horse has been bought for the king to ride." "Oh," little one stared at the empty courtyard. "Will he have to carry the king into battle? And will he need to paw the air and roll his eyes to frighten the enemy?" "Yes, little one," his mother replied. "He will do what he was born to do." More days passed, and little one waited for someone to buy him, but no one came, and little one began to tire of trying to be the best donkey. Perhaps he wasn't like his grandpa at all. Then one day, when little one was nearly old enough to leave his mother, the stable master took him and his mother to the town of Bethphage, near their home at the Mount of Olives. The stable master stopped just outside of town at a place where two roads joined. There he tied both donkeys to a railing and waited for offers to buy the little colt. Many people passed by, and some stopped to look at little one. "He's too small," a man shook his head. "His ears are too long," said another, "and his back is too straight and bony." One by one, they all passed by and left little one and his mother standing in the hot sun. Right there. "Nobody wants me, Mama." Little one's long ears drooped, and his head sunk lower to the ground. "And I haven't rolled my eyes or kicked my feet even once." "Your time will come, my little one," his mother nudged him gently. "The right person hasn't come along yet." The sun was high in the sky when two men came by and pointed at the two donkeys. Little one twisted his long ears to hear what they were saying. "There he is, just as Jesus said he would be," the taller man whispered to his companion. "A young colt with its mother. Should we take him now?" The other man nodded. "The Lord hath need of them." As the men tried to lead little one and his mother away, the stable master rushed forward, waving his arms in the air. "Why do ye loose the colt? What do you think you are doing with my donkeys?" "The Lord hath need of them," the taller man responded quietly, and little one and his mother watched in surprise as the stable master nodded slowly and took a step backwards to let them pass. The little group walked for some time along the dusty path before they finally reached a house set back from the road. Many people were gathered in the yard in front of the house, but as soon as little one and his mother approached with the men, the people stood back and let them through. Little one noticed that the noisy crowd became hushed as they approached. "Mama, why are we here?" Little one whispered to his mother. "Why are they staring at us?" "I'm sure everything will be all right." She comforted him as the crowd parted and a man walked toward them. He was dressed in a white robe, and his long hair and beard shone in the afternoon sun. Do you know who that is? Think, who needed a donkey in the Easter books? I think a good man has chosen you, little one. A good man like Joseph? Little one asked. A man like Joseph. See, he is smiling at you. This man needs a little donkey, just like you, my son. I need a colt that has never been ridden, said the man gently and quietly, and yet his words seemed to fill the silence around them. Little one felt his heart was about to burst as he straightened his back and held his head high. He looked into the man's kind face and didn't roll his eyes at all. The King of Kings needs a young donkey to ride when he enters the city of Jerusalem, little one heard a man say behind him. Yes, so the people will know he comes as the Prince of Peace, a woman said. This little donkey will serve him well. Have you figured it out? It's Jesus. That will be your job, little one, his mother said. Remember, if the king wants to go in peace, he will need a small, patient, kindly donkey. A donkey just like Grandpa? Little one asked. A donkey exactly like your grandpa, my son, like you. So little one stood quietly as his mother was led away, and when he felt unfamiliar cloth laid on his back, he didn't rear up or stamp his feet. Instead, he stood patiently and thought about his grandpa. He too would be strong and carry his new master. Are you ready, little one? He turned his head as an older woman laid her arms around his neck and softly rubbed behind his ears as she whispered, Do not be afraid. My son is a kind and loving man, and he has chosen you especially. There he is again. There's Jesus, and we don't ever really see his face. Little one stumbled slightly as he felt the weight of the man sitting onto his young back. Yet he began to feel stronger as the woman spoke again. Hold your head high, little one, for today you carry the Master. Today you carry Jesus. The crowd gathered around as little one took his first steps with Jesus on his back, who gently guided him toward the crowd. Now we see Jesus' face. Even when people in the throng laid more pieces of cloth at his feet and large palm leaves over the top of them, the little donkey walked carefully and steadily. Blessed be the King that cometh in the name of the Lord, the people called all around him as he carried Jesus past the Mount of Olives. Peace in heaven, glory in the highest. See? They have their palms. So this is the end of the Christmas story and the beginning of the Easter story on Palm Sunday. Little one lifted his head high as he felt the touch of the Master's hand on his neck. His heart soared with happiness as he thought of his grandpa and the baby long ago. Once more he came in peace. The end. You know, this is a pretend story. The donkey that carried Mary and the donkey that carried Jesus into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday, they're not really grandpa and grandson. We don't know if they were related at all, but it's a fun story, huh? And it's a fun way to remember that donkeys were a part of the Christmas story, and they are a part of the Easter story too. And that really those two stories are just one whole story of our Savior's life.